If you've seen my review of the SJ4000 action camera, you may have noticed that in that video there was very little action. The most exciting thing that probably happened was when I put it in its waterproof case underneath a fountain to demonstrate that it's waterproof. Perhaps the most dangerous situation was when I filmed this chap fiddling in the street and he gave me a rather intimidating scowl. Well, luckily today the weather has improved and I've been able to get out on my motorbike. So I got the camera ready for that. I put it together with some of the mounts out of the box in this sort of right angle elbow type style. The one on the top there turns the angle of the hinge so that it can go the other way and go side onto a helmet. So all I need to do now is to stick this to the side of my helmet. That sticky back mount is supplied, of course, so I just need to put it on the side somewhere about there. Now this mount, if I've got it like this, will enable me to put it up and down, left and right, twist it, basically get it pointed exactly how I want. Now the only interesting thing is I've got to figure out how to put this on, what angle to put it at, but luckily I've done that already in the past. When I put my contour mount, it goes on this side, you can see it sort of points upwards at about a 45-degree angle. Not what you'd expect, you'd expect to put it straight, but because I've done it before I now know that I'll need to put this about a 45-degree angle on the side. Ideally you'd let this sort of stick overnight or something, but since this is the first sunny day I've had in weeks, I was in a hurry to get out and about. Now one thing I noticed when I started tightening this up was that you can't tighten it up. However much you twist those things, it's still flexible. Now there's a reason for this. It's the way they've constructed those joints. Of course you could get the official ones from the camera that looks a lot like this and replace them all, but you can use the ones out of the box if you know what to do. So what you have to do, of course, disassemble them, and then you'll see why the problem exists. It's too shiny here. It's never going to grip on a shiny surface like that, so you need to rough it up with a bit of sandpaper. So I went through it all and scratched every single joint on the inside and the out so that it had a rough surface, so that when you tighten it up, it's got something to grip against, a bit of purchase, and it will hold it in place. And sure enough, once I put it all back together, tightened it up, the camera did now hold in place wherever I put it. If I hadn't done that, it would have just blown around in the wind and no doubt ended pointing up at the sky or something. One thing I don't like about these boxy type cameras is the way they look. They make you look like an absolute idiot. They do work well, but they just look stupid. I much prefer the way that a camera like a Contour mounts to the side of a helmet, quite flush to it rather than sticking out like this. Now one thing I need to point out, the time and date at the bottom is of course wrong. This footage was taken on the 16th of February 2014. The reason that it's wrong is because I'd taken the battery out of the camera a few days earlier, put it back in and forgot to reset the time. And of course, with this camera, if you want, you can turn off that timestamp as well. Now I'll just let you listen to the sound a minute, because this is the sound with the waterproof door on the back of the camera. There's no engine noise to speak of there, just the sound of wind going past. So I swapped the door off the back with the one with the holes in it, which will let water in but should let sound in. So let's just have a listen to that. I've got to point out though, you need to turn your speakers or headphones down or be prepared to get deafened. So there you go, it looks like you've got a choice of two sounds, quiet wind noise or loud wind noise. Notice there isn't an engine option in there. Now my motorcycle isn't an electric bike, there is an engine sound in there, not a particularly loud one, I don't have some sort of raspy exhaust, but trust me, I can hardly ever hear it when I've got my motorcycle helmet on, so it's no wonder that an action camera can't either. A lot of people send me questions and ask me what kind of action camera they can get so they can hear the roar of their engine as they're riding along. Well, I'll be honest, I don't think it's ever really going to work out, because that sound's usually behind you, isn't it? It's not sort of around your head. I mean, maybe you've got a particularly loud bike that might come through on a microphone, but it's not that likely to happen. Anyway, talking of this camera, you'll notice I'm going into some sort of light and dark areas. It seems to be coping pretty well. I noticed particularly when I was driving into the sun like this, it seemed to be doing a really good job. I was a bit blinded at this point, but the camera has made it so I can actually see what's happening on the road. Of course, it does perform best when you're in the right conditions, where the sun's in the right part of the sky and it's lighting things up nicely like this. But overall, I've got to say, this camera seems to be doing a pretty good job as a bike camera, although I do still think it does look pretty ridiculous, and it's not the kind of thing I would have on the side of my helmet. Maybe I'd mount it to the bike or something, but then you're going to get a bit of vibration instead. But there you go, that was the SJ4000 attached to a motorcycle helmet. I did promise you that I was going to do it one day, so today was the day, and that was it. So, as always, thanks for watching.